Production quality was always very good. You're very on the mark when it comes to the characters. If we wanted to change up how certain ones sounded, if they sound too similar, then I found that you always made adjustments very quick. You're very good to pivot into different dialects for different characters. So overall, I felt it was a very professional process.
Anne turns around and plops down next to Robbie, blood from her knees smearing along the floor. How are you feeling, little man? It doesn't hurt as bad. I was so scared until you came. He squeezes Anne's hand with his uninjured hand as tears build up in her eyes. I know, baby. I'm sorry. I won't let anything happen to you. Please forgive me. Don't be sad. I am not mad. I'll finally be normal. Thank you, Mommy. I love you. Steve Farley, how's civilian life?
It's going good. It's going good. I've never been busier.
Really? Because every time we've talked to you up until now, when we've done the other books, you've been in the wilds of Alaska on an army base.
Yes.
Tell me about this change, because there's all sorts going on. You've even done the road trip from hell by the sounds of things as well. Just bring us up to speed with Steve Farley's life before we get into the book.
We had some car trouble on the way from Alaska to Florida. So we're in Florida now. We've been here a couple months. So, I'm working full time. There's not enough hours in the day. So yeah, we're just settling into civilian life, but we haven't had really much time to breathe. It's just been go, go, go since we've gotten back.
So what are you doing for work then?
I deliver tires. I change tires, fix tires, patch tires. And then I also do a little bit of farm maintenance for some of these smaller farms around here. They're about 5-10 acres. So I've got a couple properties that I manage.
Nice. So good, solid, honest work.
Yep. So a lot of pulling weeds, fixing fences, and I like spending time with animals. So a lot of these properties have horses or cows. So I get to spend time with other animals that I don't get to have in like a neighborhood. So it's good. And I work at the tire shop. I work with a couple good guys. So it's a fun job.
And so the weather must be better than Alaska.
It is. I'm only wearing this jacket because it's cold in my house. Okay. For our dog, we keep the air conditioning pretty low.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So. And you also said we. So there's the dog. Who else is there? There's your missus.
There's my wife and the two dogs. So.
Right. Okay. And how's she liking having the boy home then?
Oh, everyone seems to be enjoying it so far. So we're settling in. We moved all of our Alaska stuff into the house, and slowly but surely, my office here is I'm still unpacking it and hanging stuff up. That flag isn't permanent. I just needed something on that so it wasn't just an empty wall.
Yeah. No, it looks great. Yeah. It's got as well, because you've served your country as well, it seems only right you should have the flag up there. You know what I mean? Because forever you're going to be a veteran. Is it right to call you a veteran? It makes you sound really old. That's all in our language. I don't know.
It says that on my license.
Okay.
So my driver's license, I had to renew it when I came back, and it says veteran on it. So
are you finding civilian life a little boring to the action and adventure of the army?
Well, not really. Yes. You're not running around with heavy rucksacks and jumping in and out of trucks and stuff like that, or getting stuck in the deep snows. There's definitely no snow in Florida, thankfully. But as far as regular work, you're still working 12-hour days.
Yeah.
That doesn't change. The quality and, overall effort of the work that I do, it's the same kind of work ethic that I'm going to have, as far as difficulty. It's the same kind of work. It's labor intensive. So
Yeah.
Overall, I mean, I don't see too much of a difference as far as work goes, but I mean, as far as like actual civilian life, it is a little bit boring.
Okay. Okay.
I do find civilian life, especially when you're dealing with like other people, they tend to be a little more sensitive than when you deal with other people that are in the military.
Okay.
So
And that's just down to the commitment and the duty of the thing, is it, when you're in the military?
yeah, I mean, so you work with somebody and you like, you tell them like bluntly what to do, and they take that as you hurting their feelings, and you're like, no, I'm just telling you the quickest way to do this task so we can
Yeah.
move on to the next one.
So
So
quite an adjustment. Yeah. I mean, I think the closest I've got to having make that adjustment was I was a pipe fitter on a construction site, and then I worked as an air conditioning engineer in high-rise buildings before I got into radio. And I mean, the only time I'd ever worked in an office was when I went to fix the air conditioning in an office. So to then when I switched to radio, and then after a few years I became a program director of a radio station and had, like 60 people under me or something, and this is an office environment. There was an adjustment there, and it's funny you should mention the bluntness, because on a construction site you are very blunt with people about what you want, when you want it, and how you want it done. And in an office environment, people didn't seem to respond well to that kind of direct approach to management. And I think it may have scuppered me. I don't think I was a great boss. But I think is that the same kind of. I'd hate to compare
it's
what I was doing
similar.
to the military, because you're doing something important.
No, but no, it is similar. I think any kind of job, especially where you have a large number of males, because I mean, all right, when you're working at a
Yeah,
construction site, let's
it's
be
mostly
clear, you're
guys.
doing that in the 80s, early 2000s. There's no
That's
women on the construction site. It's all
no.
blokes.
Yeah, it's right. Yeah, yeah,
And I've found like when there's groups of men working together, it doesn't matter if they're different races. It's a bluntness of get this fucking done right now. Do it,
yes,
do it, and you tell them as quickly and as bluntly and as offensively as you can.
yeah,
And that's the way it's done, and that's how the jobs are done. I mean, there's
yeah.
just a certain way guys talk, but then when you get into like, as you say, like an office environment, you have to like re-civilize yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a big adjustment for me, and it took me a while. I can remember being at one radio station once, and somebody, it was a girl actually, and she was getting quite upset, and I learned a very blunt technique then as well. As I in my office I had a box of tissues, what you would call Kleenex, but I didn't have them in front. I had them behind, so that whenever one of the women burst into tears, it didn't happen often, but it did happen enough that I didn't know what to do. I would reach back and hand them the tissue, and they would take one, and then I'd put it back. I wouldn't put it in front of them so they could openly weep. But then it showed that I had some concern, but I wasn't going to backpedal. They were still in the wrong, whatever it was that I'd said that made them cry. Yeah. No, I was a terrible boss. So, all right. Okay. Well, I can sympathize with that. Well, with being so busy then, are you still finding the time to write?
Here and there. But then I'm also going to school full time, so just trying to
Wow.
finish my degree.
What are you
So
studying?
business.
Business. And how long you got to go in that?
I have about 6 months left
And is that a
before.
degree?
Yeah, it'll be a full degree,
Wow.
so it'll be a full bachelor's.
And then you're going to take that, and then start a business or join big business and the corporate world, or how are you going to use that?
Um, I'm gonna figure out what I want to do with that later on. So
Yeah.
right now
Yeah.
I'm just focused on finishing it, and then just I mean I'm applying for stuff that's related to my field,
Uh-huh.
but it takes a few months for that to work out. So I'm just trying to fill it with as much work as I can in the meantime.
So are you getting time to write?
On the weekends I do.
So that's great. So you're continuing the series then, which the Age of
I am.
Queens is a part of. Yeah.
So there's two other novels other than this book.
Mm-hmm.
There's a prequel that predates this novel
Mm-hmm.
that we're speaking about, that we're talking about today, and then there's one that follows this one, and there's another one after that I'm working on.
Nice.
So
Oh, so you're still keeping it going.
I am. And then as far as like the world that they live in, I've kind of am experimenting with short stories with different characters within that world.
Great.
So it kind of provides something a little bit different
Because one of the
perspective,
great
different.
things about your books is the characters, because they have a depth to them. They're not two-dimensional. They're not just puppets there to help tell the story. They are an integral part of the story. How do you get so deep inside those characters? What is the process there to... Because I can feel their fear and their anger and everything about them, and I feel like I know them. You write them so well. How do you do that?
So, I mean, these characters, you're going to base them on real people. So, you're going to give them real feelings, real emotions. So, a lot of that is understanding how people interact. I've always been a people watcher, trying to just be able to see people's emotions, judging body language. So, being able to translate that into words does help create a more realistic character. So part of what I just spoke about, like as far as trying different characters outside of these main characters, because I still want to talk about what's going on in that world, where necessarily talking with main big characters, there's certain tasks or certain adventures that aren't going to fit these main characters, but I can still create people that could still tell those stories.
Yeah.
So that's the best part about this. I mean, human beings have so much depth, and no person is alike, just like no character in a book is alike.
Yeah.
So you can make them different.
So tell me about Age of Queens. Tell me about the inspiration and how this one works as opposed to the previous ones we've done.
So a lot of these books, so in the previous books, as far as the scope, this book has a very large scope as far as the region that we're talking about. We're now going to be talking about the whole continent in this novel. Whereas for the most part, it's been kind of regionally based, like a little section over here or within a settlement. Like in the previous book, Detective Phil George, it dealt with just one city.
Yeah.
And like issues going on in that city. This one is essentially a countrywide conflict, and continent-wide conflict that was started by one guy in order to elevate his family. He realizes at some point in time his family is only going to get to a certain level. Well, he wants his own piece of the pie. He's no longer wants to just go along with the civilization. He's like, well, I have the army, I have the means and the money, so he decides he's going to literally take a portion of this continent for himself, and this is what this novel plays out in, and it follows the characters and how they fall into his plans. So we have seen kind of a build up over the last 3 novels of this character kind of getting these things into position, and now in this novel we get to see how this massive conflict plays out, and then we get to see a dethroning of one of the larger powers in the region.
Yeah.
And then it takes kind of this illusion of an era of peace that's going to take place. Essentially what it's creating are puppet governments.
Yes.
Small little puppet governments that are being controlled by a few people in power, and they're taking it away from, because I mean this is a feudalistic society, but the guys in power are taking it away from the feudal lords and kind of just concentrating it into a few pockets of people.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're seeing is a total like authoritarian society developing.
Yes, it's not a benevolent dictatorship, is it? By any means.
No. No, I don't think there's ever been such a thing.
No, I know. But to try and describe it, because it isn't a democracy, but it isn't, it is ruled by pretty strict rules. But the characters find their own way within it. Sorry?
Yeah, most dictators. I mean, I can't think of any benevolent dictator in history.
Because
I think any
power
Roman,
makes people evil.
well, I mean, even Roman emperors that were too good would get killed by the Praetorian Guard. Like, you had to be just corrupt enough in Rome to
Yeah,
be like, okay, this guy's one of us, but not so far that you're like Nero doing weird stuff. Like, they
yeah.
want you kind of in the middle, but you have to understand at some point they are going to kill you. Like, it doesn't matter.
It's not going to end well. It's
Yeah,
not.
I mean, Roman emperors are some of the most tragic and what a sad job.
Yeah, I think in a watered down way, most democratically elected politicians of our time, it doesn't end well for them. You know, it
No,
starts out with a lot of hope and a lot of promises, and it just starts to unravel, and in the end, they get replaced. It doesn't ever seem to end. I can't think of a
yeah,
political situation where it ended
and when
well.
it ends, it usually ends with them in jail, and then all the money, everything is gone. Like, I mean, anyone that gets involved with it, like, I don't know. I tried dabbling in politics for a while, and there's easier ways to get poor.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you have a favorite character in Age of Queens?
I do. I do enjoy Phil.
Yes,
He's one of my favorites. I enjoy Anne. I
yes.
do love like where she ends up. I do
And where she
like
comes from, you know, what a story, what a transition, you know, for those who don't know in these books. She starts out basically as a slave. She is a slave that becomes a queen. You know,
yes,
that's quite the journey. And along the way, you write it how she changes along the way and how she deals with enormous responsibility and how she deals with the other people that she meets along the way that she doesn't think much of. And yeah, I like her. And I also like Phil because there's an honor to Phil, isn't there? There's an honor to
yeah.
him. Yeah.
Well, I mean, he has like I mean, there's a code. Like I mean, a lot of men in that time they're worried about their own greed. They're
Yeah.
worried about what how. I mean, one of the main characters, Thomas, he's always worried about how the world perceives him.
Mhm.
His
So he's born
father's worried.
into it, isn't he? So he's got
Yeah.
that on his shoulders from very, very young. Yeah.
So I mean, but he has like unearned responsibility thrust on him. Like he's not able to live up to. There's only a few people like in a generation that are ever really meant to rule something like that he would possibly have the ability to rule.
Mhm.
Um, even now, there's only a certain number of people in this country that could, in the United States, could actually handle being president and actually do it really well to the point where both sides aren't totally thrilled, but they're not. You want the news. You know a good president when the news is really, really boring. Like
Yeah.
that's when you know the trains are running on time.
Yeah. 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 I get what
So,
you mean. And I suppose the fact that when each American election comes up, I always find myself asking, what, there's over 200 million people in the United States, and these are the best two you could find for president? It comes down to your point, which is not everybody's up to this thing. Yeah.
well, it's not. It's not everyone's up to it, and then at the same time, you need periods of chaos in order to kind of filter out some of these people that get too comfortable. Because when they get too comfortable, then they take their eye off the ball.
Yeah.
So,
And do you
I
think
mean,
that's
yeah.
reflected in Age of Queens? Is that what's going on there? Because there is a lot of lead at the very top. There is a lot of coming and going, and there's wars involved as well. Would you say this is
So,
a period of chaos in this book?
well, it is definitely a period of chaos. So, like in before this, like you have the Western power, like that's leading from California. It's expanding. It's expanding too fast, and their style of rule is they're in charge, and it's only a few of them, and they just have massive amounts of slaves. Where in the Eastern Alliance, up in the northeast of the continent, they're not liking this because in their minds, they're looking at the sheer numbers of slaves, and in their heads, they're like, "Wait a minute! If you have too many of without, and only a few with, you're gonna all get killed.
Yeah.
There was too much imbalance in the power, and they can see it because unlike other powers on the continent, they have a relative understanding of actual human society through not just in the time period that they're living in, but the previous time periods that led to their destruction and erosion. They
Yeah.
realize that slavery isn't a sustainable business model.
Mm.
Eventually, the cost of feeding and the amount of them outweighs the ability to get the free labor.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you're paying them a pittance, even like in the feudal societies, or you give them a small plot of land to farm in exchange for this, it still gives them a relative sense of worth, and it also gives them to the point where, wait a minute, they're left to their own devices. I don't have to feed them. I
Yeah.
don't have to clothe them, but I don't have to worry about them cutting my head off too, because they think that they're earning something. Because if they're earning something, they're proud of it, even if it's next to nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. That is
So
one of the advantages of the capitalist society, isn't it?
yeah,
That
I mean,
wherever you are in it, that it is better than one where the state hands you everything, and then you get this weird feeling of entitlement, and that the state is somehow like almost more of a parent than something that should be working for you rather than you working for them. And
well, yeah. And then you have the people that are in the country and they're making all of this money, and they're like, "Why am I paying for them not to do anything?" So,
yes.
because the worst thing is, you don't want to get to a point where there's less people paying into the system than are getting out of it,
Yeah.
and that in some countries they're getting very close to that mark.
Yes, they
And,
are.
and when that happens, then it's like, how do we have money left for roads? How do we
Yeah.
have money left for? Because I mean, at the end of the day, the people that have to get to work to be able to pay those taxes need the roads to drive on.
Yeah. 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 It all comes crumbling down. But you don't have to worry about that because you're in total control as the author of how this society works. But things do go horribly wrong in some cases in this book. There is, as usual, lots of violence and lots of death.
Yeah.
Why is that important for you as a storyteller to have that in there?
So, well, I mean, when you're having conflicts, so this is like when you're having mass conflicts within these chapters, and there are feuding societies. It's important to capture the brutality of the moment, but also we don't want these battles to be so long, so drawn out that they're kind of losing the focus. Um, I base a lot of my book chapters when it comes to war chapters and conflicts, how I would base a military operation off of if I were planning one. There's stages to these chapters and how they're written. So that way the mission flows, that way the battle flows, and there's a point to it. There's an objective, there's a climax, there's moments where you don't know if someone's going to come out, but also it's important not to give characters too much as they call it, character armor, where they can't be killed or because then the reader is like, oh, they're in danger again, but they're not going to die. So I'm just going to skip over a couple chapters. But where if they're like, oh, he's going to live through this, they're going to skip over 2 or 3 pages. And they're like, wait a minute, he died? And they're like, they got cheated. So you have to throw that in there once in a while.
Yeah, and reading it and performing it, I never get the feeling that any of your characters are safe because of the world they live in and the people they have to deal with. So I think there's jeopardy there for each character all the way through. And I love that about them. Love it. It's just great.
Yeah, and then even the characters that either are victorious, they're never quite victorious. If you notice, like, there's never like one of these battles where, like, all right, let's go back to Anne's Tale a few books ago,
Yeah.
where Thomas's brother Samuel, he leads a charge to try to break this siege on this castle, and he ends up getting really injured during that battle, and he's still injured in this book. We actually get to see him doing another one. Like, he has to even sleep on a special bed, and
That's right.
has,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it is great. So where does the story head from here then?
So, well,
I
what's
mean,
really
you
cool?
probably don't give too much away if you don't want to.
No,
I don't
I
want
mean,
to. Yeah, just what you're comfortable
we're
to say.
no, no. I mean, I have no problem saying where it's going to go. So right now, we're going to be from this book. We will go from a big time gap. So over the last three novels, there have been approximately 6 to 7 years that has like passed between Anne's Tales, like pivotal moment when Anne left Redcastle,
Mm-hmm.
to when uh, where she is now back at it and as queen. So she left as a slave with literally this castle in ruin, comes back to a castle that's hers, also in ruin. So once again, they have to repair this castle and fix it back up. But now it's hers. She doesn't just have that; she has an entire country.
Yeah.
So she builds a country now. She gets to run it the way she wants to run it. However, she realizes she still has James. Thomas is no longer like I moved Thomas over into he's not a part of this next segment or this next book. It's going to focus on Anne's daughter Joy and her husband Henry,
Mm-hmm.
which at the end of this book they were married. So you saw that one,
Yeah.
or that was spoke about, and I think in the epilogue of this book.
Yes. Yeah.
So, so from there it's going to be their journey. They're going to so there'll be about 13 or 14 year age gap between Age of Queens and Age of Peace.
Okay. All right. Well, I look forward to getting stuck into that one. How did you find the process of turning this one into an audiobook?
Well, I felt it went very smooth. The production quality was always very good. You're very on the mark when it comes to the characters. If we wanted to change up how certain ones sounded, if they sound too similar, then I found that you always made adjustments very quick. You're very good to pivot into different dialects for different characters. So overall, I felt it was a very professional process.
Brilliant. I'm glad you enjoyed that. So that's what's happening next with the book. What is happening next for Steve Farley?
Right now, I am working on finishing the sixth novel in this book. We're about 90% of the way there. So it's another maybe 2 or 3 months left of work on that. And then I can send that off to get edited and chopped. And then I get the joy of rewriting it all over again. Um, and then I'm working on a couple short stories, but nothing to bring home right now.
Sounds
Nothing
great.
to talk about.
The latest one is out. It's Age of Queens. It's fabulous. It's not like you might imagine a story with castles and, princes and princesses and called Age of Queens. There's plenty of violence in here. There's a little bit of nookie as well. So if you like that kind of stuff, you should check it out. Age of Queens. There's a link in the description. Click on there. It'll take you straight to Amazon so you can download your own copy. Obviously, I'm biased. I prefer the audiobook, but if you'd like the written version, it's there too for you as well. Steve Farley, thanks a lot and continued success, mate.
All right. Thank you.